Hello, Dogpatch. I want to extend a very, very warm welcome to our community, our city leaders and staff, and all our collaborators that are here to help make this thing possible. We're very, very excited to have you here. I'm Enrique Landa, and along with my colleagues, we want to welcome you to our little construction site. We're sorry about the dust. We're doing our best. But I want to tell you that there's few things that are as optimistic as a groundbreaking. It's a confirmation that, as a society, we've got to build for a brighter tomorrow. And for us, that's pretty exciting stuff. 2 years ago, we were here in the depths of a pandemic that shook our city and shook our globe, and we started on all this infrastructure that you see here. And we said then, when it looked a little rough, that we weren't going to stop. We were going to set the groundwork to build the future neighborhood that San Francisco needed. And today we're super excited that that thing's getting started. I want to start by looking back. Yeah, it's good. This doesn't happen all the time. You know, if you were here 12 years ago, you'd be sitting in the middle of a former power plant. And they were about to build another one right there. But some very, very brave people got up and said, you know, maybe we don't need another power plant here. And that leadership started with former supervisor Sophie Maxwell, who we honor here today. Other community leaders like Joe Boss, tons of people in the community, former supervisor and Peskin, just this whole crew who said, let's reimagine this future. If they'd been successful at putting another power plant here, this land, which has been closed to the people since Abraham Lincoln was president, would have been closed for another generation. But instead, we're here. So thank you for your courage. We wouldn't be here without you. So this is an optimistic moment. We got a beautiful day, we have a beautiful site, and this is a wonderful opportunity for optimism. But the world's really not optimistic about San Francisco, not right now. But I am. Because I know that every time people say San Francisco is over, and that happens every 20 years here, we come back better, more resilient, and we invest and invent the ideas that change the world. We're a funny little place. We're 1/10,000th of the world's population, 1/100,000th of the world's landmass, yet the things that we do here change the world. We have an undue influence on this planet. We gave the world the blue jeans, the martini, the slot machine, the television, the jukebox. What else? Oh, a couple computer innovations, you know, and also important social changes. We were the first city to recycle, and we were the first city to give marriage equality, and we are not done yet. This city has always been a place of pioneers, people that define culture, social movements, and technology. And what we've brought here and how we think about this world is how we build about housing. So in San Francisco, I can't think of a better way to start this project than with starting with 100% affordable housing. The building we're embarking on today is going to be very special. It's going to be built for a population for whom housing is rarely built. That missing middle, those crucial workers that make our city thrive, teachers, first responders, nurses, and all of those people that we want in San Francisco to keep it moving. So I'm so excited that that's the way we're getting started. And the way we're doing this building is also unique. And I want to thank Eric Shaw, who gave us an idea. And he said, you know, there's this weird recycled bond thing. It's a way to reuse old affordable housing bonds. No one's ever done it, but if you guys can figure it out, maybe that's how you can get your project started. Well, guess what? We're the first project in California to do it. We're the first project in San Francisco to do it. And now we got another tool in our toolkit to build housing. And I'm so excited about that. So thank you, Eric Shaw. So the building that we're going to have today, and we're going to start, is going to be named after former supervisor Sophie Maxwell. She started her career as a union electrician, and she finished her career, political career, as the city supervisor helped close this power station. And I can't think of a better way to honor this site because none of us would be here if it wasn't for her. So let's raise our hand to Supervisor Maxwell. I also want to thank our other supervisor, Supervisor Shaman Walton. He is a constant communicator for his community. And we are so grateful for his leadership, his advice, and his nudge to make us do a little bit better. And I will tell you, he's taught us one very important thing. Progress isn't measured by how tall our buildings are, but it's measured by the depth and breadth of our commitment to the community. So thank you, Supervisor. Appreciate your support. And finally, to our mayor. She has been a constant advocate for housing. And if she wouldn't have pushed for housing the way we did, every which way, even in ways like today that no one's ever done, we wouldn't be here, and a generation of San Franciscans wouldn't have homes. Thank you, Mayor, for your support. You've kept us on track. To the city staff that worked so hard to keep this project moving, we would not be here without you. And Madam Mayor, this housing that you're helping happen is a commitment to making San Francisco affordable for everyone, and that's awesome. Thank you so much. So now as we break ground on this new housing and we start thinking about transforming this power plant, we're not just building housing, we're generating a new energy, an energy that symbolizes hope, resilience, and optimism. Because the most important commitment we can make in a city as progressive and forward-looking as San Francisco is to give everybody a place to call home. We're not done yet. Welcome to Power Station. Thank you.
Thank you, Enrique. Thank you for your leadership that has guided the community and our team to continue to build infrastructure to preserve these incredible historic relics that will one day be transformed and occupiable and knit back into the fabric of our community. My name is Tina Chang, and I am humbled and honored to welcome you here today and to welcome the champions that Enrique just mentioned onto stage. So to that end, I'd like to first bring Mayor London Breed, our champion of housing, our fighter for today's city. As a former planner and as a current resident of San Francisco, I know firsthand how important your leadership is. It is to the efforts of your administration and you that we have this project going and we've been able to keep it going. So everyone, please join me in welcoming Mayor London Breed.
Good afternoon. Is it afternoon? It's still morning? Well, Supervisor Walton always says the sun is always shining in Bayview. So thank you all so much for being here. Enrique, thank you so much for setting the tone. Are you trying to add yourself to the list of people running against me or something? That was a great speech. Thank you so much for the hope, the optimism, and the excitement around not just the power plant, but the excitement around our city and the excitement to finally get rid of the red tape to get housing built for the people of San Francisco. And let me tell you, I remember those battles. No, at the time, I was not on the Board of Supervisors, but Sophie Maxwell, when she ran for the Board of Supervisors, one of the things that she said was one of the main reasons why she ran had everything to do with closing down this power plant that was polluting the community that she was a part of. And she followed through on her commitment. She made it happen. And the fact that we are here today to break ground on the first project, 100% affordable housing that is named for her, it is really just the least we could do to honor what she has done that will create a whole new community in an area that has not been open and available to the public for more than 150 years. You did this, Supervisor Maxwell. You made this happen. We are so honored for your presence and grateful for your leadership and advocacy, and this project will be an extraordinary part of your legacy in San Francisco. So thank you very much. So what do we have here? When we're done with this project, we're going to have 2,600 units, 30%, which will be affordable. We're going to have a library, community space, so much. We're creating a whole new neighborhood in San Francisco. Folks, as Enrique said, have time and time again, they've tried to count San Francisco out. But they don't remember the history of San Francisco. They don't know that we have been through very challenging times before, and we have emerged stronger. Places like the power plant, as well as Dog Patch and Pier 70 and other areas, those weren't even things that were even looked at to be developed into new neighborhoods. And look at what we are making happen. This entire project, Mazola, is under a project labor agreement, by the way, which I know makes the building trades very happy. And the fact that Associate Capital, under the leadership of Enrique and Tina, came together, they worked with labor, they worked with community, they worked with the city, and they brought people together. This is how we need to do projects in San Francisco to get the job done. There is nothing better than that. And as we may know, funding these projects more recently has been very difficult. Interest rates are through the roof. Expenses are through the roof. In fact, San Francisco has over 50,000 units that have been approved, and we have not been able to move them forward. And so the fact that we have such a creative financing tool in order to do this project, one that will continue to be used for maybe even the next 43,000 units that could potentially qualify, will help us get well on our way in meeting our goals of the state housing element to build over 82,000 units in the next 8 years. We have to get out of the way. And I'm so grateful that the governor has signed some major housing legislation, one including redevelopment financing that we will be able to use for replacement housing. A lot of the promises that redevelopment agency made that they did not honor in terms of their commitment to make sure that there is replacement housing. These various financing tools will help us improve our process and our financing for getting these projects done, getting to yes, and getting people housed in the city and county of San Francisco. And I am so excited and grateful for the opportunity to lead those efforts. And the other thing that makes me very proud is the fact that we fought so hard when I was on the Board of Supervisors for neighborhood preference. The ability to make sure that when we build these projects, that the people who live in these communities have right of first refusal. And 40% of the units that will be built here today are going to people who live in and around this community. So I know that was another reason why Supervisor Walton was very excited and enthusiastic about this project, and I appreciate his leadership and working with us hand in hand to deliver this for the folks not only of this city, but especially of the Dogpatch neighborhood, of Potrero Hill, and the Bayview Hunters Point. This will be a game changer of a project. And again, Enrique, I really want to appreciate your leadership in working with our LBEs who are here as well. So many of them hire local residents to work on this project, and I know how important it is to make sure that we have partnership and we have opportunity. This project checks so many boxes, and that's why we have so many people here today. We are grateful to each and every one of you, but it does take a village, and I want to at least take a moment to acknowledge and recognize all the wonderful people that got us to this point. I already thank Supervisor and current Public Utilities Commissioner Sophie Maxwell. I want to thank Enrique and Tina from Associate Capital, because your leadership as a developer has been extraordinary and has really brought people together for this extraordinary project. I want to thank Supervisor Walton for his leadership and partnership on this effort. I want to appreciate many of the community organizations, the Potrero Boosters and the Dogpatch Neighborhood Association, for really working with the city to make this happen. Big thanks to our labor partners. We really appreciate the building trades who actually was harassing me to move some of the barriers so that they can get to work and get the jobs on this particular project. And thank you to Ann Topier from the Office of Economic and Workforce Development for all of your commitment and work on these big projects. And thank you to Judson True. He's our housing expediter. He's like the infrastructure and what you need to do to dig in the ground and to make changes. That stuff doesn't sound really cool, but man, it's hard work, and it requires us to work together with a number of city partners. Thank you to Dennis Herrera when he was our city attorney, who worked with Supervisor Maxwell to shut this power plant down. I am so excited and grateful to be here. Thank you all. Let's break this ground and let's get folks housed.
Let's give it up one more time for our mayor. Your enthusiasm is infectious. Thank you. I'd next like to welcome our champion of District 10, our constant fighter for D10, who reminds us of what's important, including community, building community, and developing community, which is why we're all here today. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Supervisor Shamann Walton.
Good morning. Good morning. First question is, who says you cannot build housing in San Francisco? You know, we have been working very hard with community, Dogpatch community, Potrero community, labor, the developer, all of you who work with the city and work with our LBEs and work in the development field, construction field, to make sure that we have projects like this. This is one of those projects where, like the mayor said, every box was checked. It went through planning unanimously. It went through every commission and every committee unanimously. And that's because it is possible to have responsible development when you have people that are committed to the work. It didn't start out that way. I can remember when I first met with Enrique, and I had just got elected, but obviously we had done work to make sure that all the projects on the southeastern waterfront were going to be possible. But when I first met him, I took Mayor Agnos with me. And I did that for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted him to know that we meant business and that you were going to listen to this community if you were going to build in this community. But two, I also wanted him to know that we had leaders in this city that still care and are still concerned, even when they may not be part of their civic duty to do so. And after that meeting, Enrique began to talk to entire community about what the plans were at the power station, what we wanted to see, what was going to be developed. But he really listened to community. He made a lot of changes on the design, a lot of changes on the height of buildings and what we were going to see. And that's because he listened to community. So I do want to say thank you to Enrique for being a responsible developer that listens to community. And then as we continue to push that affordable housing number and that percentage up higher through our conversations and through the commitment to community, we thought about, well, now we have this building that's going to be built, and who are we going to name this building after? This is going to be a building that represents the workforce here in San Francisco, the workforce here in this community. It's going to be a building that represents the people of the Potrero Dogpatch community. It's going to be a building that is going to be all affordable and going to make sure that people who live here in San Francisco still have the opportunity to stay. And it's going to be a building at a former power plant. And so immediately, Enrique said, Supervisor Maxwell is the person that most certainly deserves to have her name on a building right here at the power station. And so I'm excited to be a part of making that happen. I'm excited that we get to honor you and give you your flowers while you are with us. I want to thank you so much for your leadership and what you demonstrated to make it possible for people like me to serve in this role. But the reality of it is, we are at a time where we need more housing here in San Francisco. We're going to continue to be at the forefront of building housing in District 10. We're going to continue to not just talk about the opportunities, but we're going to continue to make them a reality. We worked hard. There were ideas that came up on how to get this financed. This is going to be the first, but most certainly not the last way we do this with the EIFD. And I do want to thank Director Shaw. I want to thank Enrique. I want to thank the mayor's office. I want to thank my colleagues for understanding and supporting this. And I do want to honor and acknowledge President of the Board of Supervisors, President Peskin. Thank you so much for being here, which also demonstrates how important this housing and this project is to our entire city. So with that said, I do want to just again, the mayor thanked everybody. She always gets to do that before I get up here. But I really do want to thank the Dogpatch and Potrero community for their commitment. I want to thank labor. I want to thank all of the LBEs and the folks who are working on these projects, and of course, the workforce who is going to be largely from this community, and also our nonprofit developers who are going to have opportunity to build here as well. We've come a long way. We have a long way to go, but we will continue to build in District 10 where the sun is always shining. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. And last but not least, I want to welcome champion of the community, fighter for environmental justice, Ms. Sophie Maxwell. You have inspired us in so many ways. Thank you for making today possible.
Wow, who would have thought? Who would have ever imagined? I want to thank all the people who've been thanked before, certainly. I want to thank the mayor, and I want to thank Enrique and his team. Thank you so much. This is really, really important, and it's not me. I'm representing all the people who have been here and who were here right beside me. I want you to imagine a crowd of people behind me. I want you to imagine city departments on the side of me, and Joe Boss, and Marie Harrison, and John DeCastro, and Linda Richardson. I want you to imagine all those people, some on the side and some in the front leading the charge. This is collective leadership. This was a collective vision that we saw something that nobody else could see except our city saw it. Our city department said, oh yeah, we're going to do this. They said, how in the world can you have a city without in-house generation? You've got to be able to generate power in the city. Well, we had another vision. We had another way of doing. No, the state will never allow this. Closing 2 power plants, but these were some of among the oldest power plants in California, among the most polluting power plants in California. We had the highest rate of asthma and the highest rate of cancer. The people in the crowd behind me, those were mothers and fathers who had to pick their children up early because they had asthma. These were mothers like me whose child died, and I always blame it on the power plants. And these were the people. We had no choice. We had no choice but to have a vision and a collective determination. That's what we had. And with that, anything can be done. And I just was reminiscing with my colleague and my heartthrob, Aaron Peskin, who the city attorneys dragged us to the California PUC to testify. And we were thinking, what in the world? But it worked, obviously. But there we were. And many, many people went to the Independent Systems Operator, the ISO, and community members went up to Sacramento. We were on a mission. We went through 3 mayors. It didn't matter who was mayor or who wasn't mayor. We were always still here. The Potrero Boosters were still here. Ledge was still here. Sage was still here. Dogpatch Association. We were all still here. And that's what made the difference. So you see here, this is so appropriate to be affordable housing. Who's going to live in our city? Is it going to be just diverse in food? Are we going to be diverse in population? Who's going to give us that ooh la la that San Francisco is known for? It's that diverse population. Are we just going to import middle class, or are we going to build and create middle class? That's what cities do. That's what cities do. And so I want to thank our mayor. I want to thank him for a number of reasons. But let me just say, I have introduced my grandson. I always call him grandbrat, but now he's a grown-up man, and I can't do that anymore. My grandson and his family, when they got ready to decide to have a family, they moved to Oakland. Well, last week I got a call Saturday, and it said, "Grandmother, are you in the city? Because we're over here on Quezada, because we're in this program that the Mayor's Office of Housing has. And they help you with down payment assistance." And I said, unfortunately, I wasn't. I said, "Rama, I am so happy." And you just don't know, because that's what it's about. That's what all of this, it's about generations of people who care and love and live in our city. So this is just the beginning, and I want to thank all of you who are here. I want to thank the mayor's office and everybody else and their mother who is having a part of this. This is important, and this is what we can do. We are, again, showing what we can do when you put your mind to it with a collective energy and a collective vision. So again, thank you all. Thank you, Erin. I love you.
Supervisor Maxwell, we're not done with you yet. Yes, I would love for you to come back because you are today's star. We are honoring you today. We want to have you handprint your hands in wet concrete, Hollywood fashion, San Francisco style, so that we can hang this in the lobby of our building so that all residents and everyone who walks through that halls can know this story.